Sister Sunday leg workout, back at it again. Welcome back to the channel, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the video if you're not subscribed already, and yeah, leave a comment if you have any questions or want to show some love. So we started off with leg extensions and actually leg curls after this. I almost always, not every single time, but I would say 85 to 90% of the time, start with a leg extension or leg curl. I've always enjoyed the feeling of having the hamstrings and the quads warmed up like in a very easy, isolated way. It just helps me bend my knees better and feel better going into the squat. Now that being said, obviously you kind of want your hips to feel that way too. So sometimes I'll do some kind of bodyweight thing or like a TRX squat or even the isolated abduction and adduction. So, but yeah, here today we just did a pretty straightforward, just build up to a heavy weight and do 2 sets of around 10 to 12 reps on both of those. The hamstring was actually a little lighter, and then we went into the leg press. And the leg press, it's kind of, oh man, it's gonna sound like a fart even though that was my chair. Yeah, no one's here to back me up on that statement, but I just take my word for it. The leg press here was a rest pause set. So what that is basically you do 10 reps and you pause at the top here, and it's knees slightly bent, so there's like tension, but it's just an isometric hold, and then you go back into some reps. So it's basically like 3 mini sets: a set of 10, 5 to 10 second break when you're holding it up the top, and then another set of 5, and then a little break again, and then one more set of 5. So it's not really a break, but it's a great way to get a lot of intensity, a lot of blood flow, and make lighter weight feel heavier. Plus, sometimes I'll do those leg extensions, like I said before, as almost like a pre-exhaustion thing. So sometimes I'll use it more as a warm-up. Other times I'll use it as like an exercise to try to actually isolate and grow. And then other times I'll use it as a way to like pretty much tire the quads out, and a little bit, not to the point where I'm like really fatigued and unsafe, but just to the point where it's like you don't have to use as heavy weight, but you can still get that same kind of stimulus, and they're really ready to go with a lighter weight. So after that, I mean, I say lighter weight, obviously it's pretty relative. My sister and I both were pretty challenged by the weights that we used on the leg press. My sister really crushed it with that, actually, by the way. That's a very difficult thing to do. So shout out to my sister, good work, Em. And then we went into, I always got to do some kind of single leg if I can, if I have time. I usually try to make time for at least one exercise that's a single leg movement. It's so important, even though I do bodybuilding stuff, which it can obviously be very helpful to isolate the single leg in bodybuilding, but just from a functional standpoint, it's always good to make sure that you do something that's one side at a time. And today we actually did something different. So this was kind of like a mixture. Usually always put the weight in the opposite hand if I'm only doing one, but we always do that, and that's good to turn on the core and engage things, but decided to keep it on the same side, which is still, it's still a good move for the core and the whole body, but this way we could really just kind of focus, a little easier to balance, and just lock in on that step up for that leg. Then we went into some Romanian deadlifts. Basically, it's a deadlift, but you keep your shins upright, you start from the top motion, you push the hips back. So a stiff leg deadlift, you keep the legs stiff so the knees are basically straight. The Romanian deadlift, you're just pushing back at the hips. Think of it as a back and forth move from the hips, but the shins stay up and down. You can bend at the knees, so you push the hips back, but you can bend at the knees. You just don't want the knees to go forward. In a regular deadlift, it doesn't really matter where the knees go per se. They might go a little bit forward. They'll probably stay more upright. But this one, you're specifically trying to get just the hamstrings and the glutes. The glutes come in a little more with the knee bend in that move. And then we just finished up with some calf raises on the machine, just the easiest way to kind of do that. Just wanted to touch on the calves a little bit, nothing too crazy, just stimulate them. So that was it. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.